When broker-dealers share marketing decks or performance-based materials, many assume that high-net-worth individuals or family offices can be treated like institutional investors. After all, they may be sophisticated, experienced, and managing tens of millions in assets. But under FINRA Rule 2210, that assumption can turn a fully compliant institutional communication into a retail communication violation. And often, it takes only a single natural person to unintentionally trigger that shift. More firms are relying on the institutional communication exemption under Rule 2210 because it allows hypothetical returns, projected performance, IRR models, and forward-looking analysis. These elements can be incredibly valuable for institutional presentations. But there is a strict boundary. These materials may only be distributed to true institutional investors. And here's the core issue. Natural persons, no matter how wealthy or sophisticated, are never considered institutional investors under this rule. FINRA's definition focuses on entities, not individuals. To qualify as institutional, a recipient must be a bank, an insurance company, a registered advisor, a government entity, or an entity with at least $50 million in assets that is not a natural person. This means a high net worth individual, even one who meets the accredited investor standard or who runs a large family office, is still categorized as retail. If a firm sends an institutional deck containing hypothetical or projected returns to even one natural person, the entire communication becomes retail, and all institutional exemptions disappear. This becomes a major compliance trap because many firms work closely with family offices, fund principals, and high net worth investors who routinely ask for detailed projections. It's easy to assume they behave like institutional investors, but that assumption has no regulatory foundation. For example, most single-member LLCs and revocable trusts ultimately represent individuals. And fund principals who receive materials personally are individuals. Even accreditation or qualified purchaser status does not change their classification under Rule 2210. If they are natural persons, communications sent to them are retail. Reg BI reinforces this point even more strongly. Under Reg BI, any natural person receiving a recommendation for personal, family, or household purposes is automatically considered a retail customer, regardless of their assets or sophistication. So, even a family office with $50 million under management, if acting on behalf of an individual, is retail for communication purposes. When a communication becomes retail, projections and IRRs may be considered misleading or promissory, and the broker-dealer must meet heightened obligations around care, disclosure, and conflicts. The practical consequence is significant. One natural person on a distribution list voids the institutional exemption for the entire communication. Even if 99 recipients are institutional investors, a single individual shifts the classification to retail. Once that happens, the communication must omit hypothetical or projected performance and must be reviewed and approved by a registered principal. This is why firms should maintain two distinct versions of all offering materials. An institutional version with projections, clearly labeled for institutional use only, and a retail version with all performance modeling removed. To avoid violations, firms need strong training and controls. Sales and marketing teams should verify the entity status of every recipient before sending any materials. Distribution lists should be documented. Any materials including IRR, ROI, or projected results should require compliance sign-off. Extra caution is essential with family offices and fund principals, because even when the investment vehicle is institutional, the individual making decisions might still be classified as retail if the communication is directed to them personally. The key takeaway is simple. Natural persons are never institutional investors under FINRA Rule 2210, no matter their wealth, status, experience, or accreditation. Reg BI removes any remaining ambiguity by treating all natural persons as retail customers. If any material containing projections reaches even one individual, the institutional exemption is lost. The idea of an institutional individual may be convenient in business conversations, but it has no regulatory basis. Misunderstanding this distinction exposes firms to advertising, communication, and Reg BI violations. Keeping these lines clear can mean the difference between effective marketing and unnecessary regulatory risk. The safest approach for small and mid-sized firms? Treat every individual as retail. And limit all projected or hypothetical returns strictly to verified institutional entities. Need to stay current on regulatory updates and compliance trends? Subscribe, and check the link in the description to sign up for our free regulatory alerts at www.legaylaw.com. At Legay Law, we make regulations make sense. Thanks for watching.